invite everyone to join us downstairs after service for coffee, snacks, and conversation. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Good morning. My name is Diann Herington, and I use she, her pronouns. Our opening words today, "Shall I Never See Birds," are from author, poet, and critic Floyd Dell, who actually grew up in Davenport in the early 20th century. White against the rooftops and black against the sky, wheeling in squadrons, the pigeons fly. Like deadly planes that hover over towns aflame, like confetti flung from windows when the peace news came. Oh, why must I remember what I would forget? Why wheel my fancies in that weary circle yet? War and peace, peace and war, that is all I know. Shall I never see birds as I saw them long ago? And now, as my mom lights our chalice, let's all recite our chalice lighting words, which are on the screen and in your order of service. Whether you were born into this faith, found it, or it found you, whether you believe in God, are open to mystery, or still have no idea, whether you are holding anxiety, grief, confusion, anger, hope, restlessness, or deep peace, this chalice is lit for you. And now you can please rise in body and or spirit for our opening song, number 84 in the gray hymnal, How Far Can Reach a Smile. The lyrics will also be projected on the screen. Gates is going to play it through one time since this is an unfamiliar hymn to most of us, and then we'll join in after he plays it once through. You may remain standing. In the spirit of love and fellowship, we now greet the holy in our midst by briefly greeting those around us, especially those we may not know.
Good morning, friends. Would all the children like to come up here for our Words for All Ages? Get your ribbon. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, friends. How was your weekend? Did anyone do anything exciting this weekend? Ooh, Madeline went to a birthday party yesterday. Cool. All right, does everybody, and this is the whole congregation too, does everyone have a ribbon? Does anybody not have a ribbon? Oh, so feel free to come up and get a ribbon. I have some more up here if you don't have one. Or Kaylee, go. My lovely assistant Kaylee will come give you a ribbon. So this month's theme is inclusion. So what I want everybody to do with your ribbon is to find somebody around you to tie your ribbons together. And we want to find two people, so each end of your ribbon will be tied to somebody else. So when everybody has their ribbons, we want both ends tied, and so we're all connected is the goal. The goal is to be everybody is all connected, so everyone should be holding their ribbon still. So everyone try and find your ribbon if you lost it. Oh, look, everyone ribbon connected on both ends? No? I know, we made a circle up here. So Steve says that we're not being inclusive. I'm sorry. So Ezra is going to untie one so we can join our ribbons to yours to be inclusive. All right, Ezra, go over there. Go over to your dad, Ezra. All right, we're all together. So the goal of this exercise was that everybody is different, but we can all come together and share the same values, and we can still be friends and still be in community with one another, even though we're different. Yes, it can. All right, we're going to go downstairs now. And sometimes people make mistakes, and that's okay.
Now's the time to find your way. Here is where you start. May love and peace illuminate a path to lead your heart. Learn and grow from all you do. Seek joy in everything that's new. Let awe and wonder guide you through, and trust the light that lives in you.
We come together as a community to share the joys, the concerns, the sorrows, and the milestones of our lives. At this time of sharing, we take a moment to read your entries from the Book of Joys and Concerns located on the table at the entrance of the sanctuary. We have one in the book this morning, and it is anonymous. It is a sorrow for the people suffering around the world because of the decisions of one man. Are there any concerns online? Are there any joys online? For what has been shared and for what remains in the quiet sanctuary of our hearts, we are grateful. And now let us become aware of the energy that brings us together here in beloved community as we share a time of silent meditation. May we open our hearts and minds to a place of quiet and engage in silent prayer for the healing of pain and the balm of love. When the musical meditation begins, you are invited to come forward in silence and light a candle.
This congregation is a theologically diverse religious community with membership open to all who are in accord with our values, mission, and vision. Our congregation is entirely self-governed by the democratic process. One of the privileges of our free church tradition is to provide all of the financial support for our many ministries from among ourselves. Generosity, therefore, is one of our spiritual values that we recognize as central to our personal and institutional well-being. This month's undesignated plate offering will go to Allen's House YWCA, an organization named in memory of Reverend Allen Egley, a former minister of this congregation, which you can read more about on the back of your order of service. We invite you now to participate in the blessing of giving as the ushers come among you to accept the gifts of this congregation. Please be as generous as you are able. For all the gifts of time and treasure that you give to this congregation, with sincere gratitude, we thank you. Government's ingenious solution: all birds replaced with robotic spies. Activists fight to awaken the flock. This is the tagline for the movement known as Birds Aren't Real. Has anyone ever heard of this movement before? Perfect. In 2017, this movement took flight on the wings of one Peter McIndoe. McIndoe came across declassified information demonstrating that between 1969 and 2001, the US government murdered over 12 billion birds in the American skies. This was affected with poisonous and contagious toxins dropped from airplanes that murdered all of the birds over the course of 40 years. Now, I know this is not the dominant interpretation of what happened, and it may sound absurd, but please just bear with me and keep an open mind and just be respectful, please, as I share this information with you. I know a lot of you may be wondering, why would the government kill 12 billion birds? It seems like an awful lot of trouble. The reason is as devastating as it is simple. For each bird the government killed, they replaced it with a replica, a drone in disguise, designed for a single purpose: covert surveillance of the American people. The proof that birds are robots is all around us, if you start looking. For starters, ever notice how birds sit for hours on the power lines? They're recharging. And while they're refueling from that high perch, they can watch the civilians. They also track us using special semi-liquid tracking devices. Do you ever wonder why birds poop on your car? Do you need more evidence? Really, I can go all day up here. Who here has seen a baby pigeon? Oh, interesting. You haven't, have you? It's weird. There's all these adult pigeons, but where are the babies? They come out of the factory as adults, so there's no organic growth. It's a smoking gun. But don't just take my word for it. Peter McIndoe gave a TED Talk on the movement, and I quote him here. In 2021, I was promoted to Public Information Officer for the Birds Aren't Real movement. It's the honor of my life. My sole focus in this position was to deprogram the public from the bird lie. And deprogram is a very specific word because you all are programmed. You know that, right? We live in a pro-bird civilization drenched in propaganda. For instance, every state has a state bird. The national mascot is a bald eagle. Presidents don't talk, they tweet. And the tweets are covered in bird logo media. Once I knew this, my first order of business was to get the information out to the American people, get off the internet and into the real world. So that's what I did. I bought a van, covered it in decals with facts. I wanted to turn the highway into an information highway, awaken the people. I went city to city, holding rallies, meeting up with our thousands of supporters, growing by the day. And I was putting up billboards wherever we went, sharing our simple but powerful message. Peter McIndoe's efforts on behalf of the movement were relentless. Huge rallies were held at multiple corporations tagged as pro-bird. At Twitter, the group protested the bird logo. At CNN, they demanded fair air coverage for bird truthers. The protests worked. Twitter even changed its name. The movement climaxed with a rally in New York City's Washington Square demanding that the mayor shut down every pigeon in the city. Okay, it's Diann, I'm back. I'll let you in on a little secret. Peter McIndoe does not actually believe that birds are robots, nor did the majority of the people participating in these rallies. They were actors. For 4 years, Peter was also an actor, playing a role, the leader of a fake movement with fake evidence and a fake history. The movement was a hoax, an experiment to test a simple question. How easy is it to fool the American people and the American media? Turns out, even with something this outrageous, pretty easy. In 2021, after accomplishing what he set out to do, Peter broke character, using the front page of the New York Times to reveal that the movement was a farce and a hoax. How did he even come up with this idea? Peter grew up in Little Rock, Arkansas, in a hyper-conservative and extremely religious community. After seeing pro-Trump counter-protesters at the 2017 Women's March in Memphis, he wrote "Birds Aren't Real" on a poster and improvised a conspiracy theory amongst the counter-protesters as a spontaneous joke. A video of him at the march went viral, and the farce began. During his 4 years in character, he used the same cadence, logic, and arguments as those he grew up around, just with a different theory swapped in. He wanted to play his character as convincingly as possible, so he spent many days out in public with his branded van, talking with strangers and handing out posters. He claims there were thousands of instances where strangers would approach him with complete disdain on their face, thinking he was a real conspiracy theorist. They would come right up to him and tell him how stupid he was, that he was uneducated, that he was crazy, that people like him were what was wrong with this country. If he'd been out of character, he probably would have found it funny. But in playing the role, acting it out in front of real people, He felt emboldened and sad and angry because they didn't even take the time to get to know him. They instantly condemned him, judged him, and othered him. As Peter reflected later, these experiences, hundreds of them over the years, watching how people interact with those on the fringes of our society, gave me an entirely new perspective on our approach to conspiracy theorists, whether it's how we frame them in the conventional media to how we deal with them in our own lives. If our goal is to share or is to live in a shared reality with our neighbors, what if our current approach isn't bringing us any closer to that? What if, by talking to conspiracy theorists like they're ignorant and stupid, we're actually pushing them further away from the truths that we want them to see? Because what happens when someone tells you that you're stupid, that you're all wrong, that you're the problem? You feel judged and dismissed, and you'll feel othered. And this may lead you to look for safety among like-minded to do what they have been doing for you. Affirm your selfhood, give you a sense of identity, and a sense of belonging. After all, these are some of our most basic human desires. People today feel a strong urge to belong, to fit in, to be included. One sociologist has stated that people's desire to stand out has significantly dropped over the past 20 years. Behavioral researchers tracked over 1 million people from 2000 to 2020, focusing on their respect for others' opinions, their willingness to break rules, and their readiness to defend their beliefs. Overall, they found that people are less willing to defend their beliefs, about a 6% drop, and that they care more about what others think, about a 4% increase. The authors postulated that people might be afraid to stand out due to the risks of being ostracized. But maybe it's also because we so strongly want to be included in something, in some sort of community. It can be pretty lonely being on the outside. And I've actually had this thought for a while, perhaps the last 2 or 3 electoral cycles, that we as a congregation stand behind our UU values and principles, one of which for many years was the inherent worth and dignity of every person. Our UUA website says that we welcome people of many beliefs, but is that really true? Our congregations can often be uncomfortable for people who belong anywhere right of left. As Reverend Tess Baumberger said, it is important to recognize the complexity of issues and the diversity of views that can be held by religiously liberal people. We all look for guidance, acceptance, and inclusion in our spiritual journeys. Couldn't that be true as well of people who are anywhere right of left or anywhere left of left? Politics is, after all, non-binary. Back in 1966, the radical folk singer Phil Oakes pointed out this diversity of views and his own stance within it when he said, "In every American community, there are varying shades of political opinion. One of the shadiest of these is liberals." I'm not saying that I agree or disagree with these views or the plethora of conspiracy theories circulating in today's media and political climate. But isn't all that somehow separate from the person who holds them? Reverend Rosemary Bray McNatt speaks to the point in words about inclusion. She is president and professor of UU Ministry and Heritage at the Starr King School for Ministry in Oakland, California. Previously, she was the senior minister at the Fourth Universalist Society in New York City. Reverend Rosemary writes, "Why are we still talking about inclusivity and diversity when we have done so little to make them real? Why are we still looking pained about the lack of diversity in this denomination? Because diversity, inclusion, is terribly hard, terribly uncomfortable, and definitely unsettling and often quite frustrating. What I know about being inclusive, crossing from culture to culture, learning the language of diversity, is that it's the work of a lifetime. It's hard to accept people who are not like you, who don't talk the way you do, or believe the things that you believe, or dress or vote as you do. It's even harder to appreciate them for the things about them that are not like you, to find them interesting and fun, to enjoy the learning that's part of the experience, and to acknowledge, finally, that you may have to agree to disagree. Hard as diversity is, it is our most important task. As you use, our shared covenant values interdependence, pluralism, justice, transformation, generosity, and equity, all values centered around love. As you use, we pledge to work for justice, to remember the experiences and needs of the marginalized and the most vulnerable among us. As you use, we pledge our dedication not to a creed, not to a set of rules, but to a way of living centered around love. But love for whom? One last thought from Peter McIndoe. What if by addressing belief before belonging, we're starting the conversation at the wrong place? Instead of sitting in collective bewilderment and frustration about how these people could believe these things, these crazies, what if we first looked under the hood and thought about what made them vulnerable to this information in the first place? What might they be getting out of this that they're not getting in their everyday lives? How much does it have to do with a different truth, or how much does it have to do with the community that that truth brings? We need to think about people's circumstances and reference points, to see them as fellow human beings who want to believe in something and want to belong, just like all of us in this room do. Because if we continue with our current approach of arguing on the level of belief, it's not going to get us anywhere. Let's direct our energy to the crisis of belonging, and then maybe we will understand the crisis of belief. Peter McIndoe encourages us to consider that conspiracy theorists are not just joining these groups for foolish reasons or for no reason at all. I wonder how we might extend that view to people who are right of left, people who are left of left, or people who've just been left out. And now, please rise in body and or spirit for our closing song. Number 6 in the gray hymnal, Just As Long As I Have Breath. The lyrics will also be projected on the screen. Please remain lifted as we extinguish this chalice and join in the unison reading. The words are on the screen or in your order of service. We extinguish this flame, but we keep its light in our hearts, with its message of love and justice, taking it outside these walls to the world we live in until we are together again. You may be seated.
If you have an announcement for a Sunday service, please send it to office@uucqc.org by 12 noon on Thursday before the service. Announcement items for this morning are as follows. After the service today, get your coffee and snacks and settle back in the sanctuary as we listen to our two guest speakers, Edwin Salazar and Nicole Sodawasser, who have been instrumental in their work at the YWCA in Rock Island, advocating and working to provide services for youth in need. Our Share the Plate for the month of February is going to Allen's House, a direct result of their efforts to create the area's only youth homeless shelter. We are excited to hear their story and how our proceeds will help them fulfill their mission. Next Sunday, February 23rd, from 9 to 9:45, our religious education team program, UU Values and You, will explore the value of justice. Join us downstairs in the lounge as we share our thoughts and grow together. The finance team would like to remind all team leaders that budget forms are due next Sunday, February 23rd. Please see Diann Herington or John DeGrieve if you have any questions. John, raise your hand. And Diann is here. The board and the Social Justice Committee would like to remind everyone of the upcoming film event on March 8th from 1:30 to 4:30. We'll be screening the film The Occupation of the American Mind, followed by a panel discussion. Filmmaker and activist Ken Loach says, quote, "This is a film that demands to be seen. It shows with devastating precision how effective propaganda can hide crimes that are epic in scale and have catastrophic consequences. Please register in advance for childcare as soon as possible by talking to Linda Pratt." Linda? The Leadership Development Committee, LDC, is looking for leaders within the church who would like to broaden their leadership skills within their respective committee or teams. Those leaders will be meeting on Saturday, March 29th and Saturday, April 5th from 10 a.m. to noon each day. We will be discussing and participating in a few of the workshops and activities that are within the UUA's Harvest the Power 2020 edition curriculum. If you have further questions or would like to be one of the 12 participants for this session, please email Stephen Pickrell at stephenpickrell7@gmail.com or speak to him during the social hour, and Steve is at the back. Finally, let me draw your attention to the additional announcements printed on the back of your order of service.
We close today with words by Emily Richards. Our work here today is at an end, and our work has just begun. The work of holding one another and this community in love. The work of trusting that we are on the right path. The work of believing that what connects us is stronger than what separates us. The work of engaging in that which makes us whole. The work of deeper understanding and commitment. The work of letting go of that which does not serve us. The work of radical inclusion. the work of collective liberation, the work of this beloved community, a beloved community of which we are all part, a place where we are welcomed, respected, valued, cherished, a place where we belong. Go in peace. Amen and blessed be.
I cried when George Floyd was murdered. The riots and protests were hell. I cheer that Peltier can go home soon after so many years in a cell. But Assange should be rotting in prison. Those secrets were not his to tell. So love me, love me, love me. I'm a liberal. I attend diversity trainings and feel so self-assured when I leave. I wear Kentian kneel in a way that's genteel, with my virtues displayed on my sleeve. But defund the police, that when they need an increase, there's nothing that can achieve. So love me, love me, love me, I'm a liberal. I cheered when Hillary was chosen, my faith in the system restored. 'Cause Bernie is racist and sexist, and he poisoned our precious accord. As payback, I say, let's make reformers give way in confirming the NLR board. So love me, love me, love me, I'm a liberal. They're too low information, the voters, to spur our democracy's gain. The Russians spread memes in our news feed, it seems. They're the source of all hatred and pain. And if you want some national health care, then truly you must be insane. So love me, love me, love me, I'm a liberal. I recycle my papers and bottles. I'm doing my part for the land. I conserve gas and time by shopping online. It's my way of lending a hand. My hero and idol is Bono. I buy what I'm told to by his brand. So love me, love me, love me, I'm a liberal. I hear all the views of others. I respect all our political mores. My neighborhood welcomes all races of people with high credit scores. Since process is key, all sincere folks should be at the table to greenlight our wars. So love me, love me, love me, I'm a liberal. I listen to all things considered. I'll consider anyone's view. I've read D'Angelo and Kendi, and I'm probably woker than you. And as for the arming of Israel, there's no one who's more white and blue. So love me, love me, love me, I'm a liberal. Yes, once I was young and impulsive. I wore every conceivable pin. I fought for our collective future, and I actually thought we would win. But But now I'm older and wiser, and that's why I'm turning you in. So love me, love me, love me. I'm a liberal. Yeah.